Congress President, Srimati Sonia Gandhi ji, Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, Vice President of the party, Shri Rahul Gandhi ji, members of the Working Committee, members of the AICC, friends, colleagues, brothers and sisters. I ask you to look back 10 years ago when we met in this same place to celebrate our victory in the 2004 elections and to chart the course for the future. 10 years later, we are gathered here again. We can look back at the 10 years, but I also ask you to look forward to the next 10 years. Let me say with utmost confidence, if the last 10 years belonged to the Congress Party and is entrusted to the Congress Party to lead this nation, I have no doubt that in the next 10 years too, the people will ask the Congress Party and entrust its future to the Congress Party to lead the people of this country for the next 10 years. Congress President spoke passionately and feelingly about our idea of India. I think it's worth repeating it again and again and again. Our idea of India stems from an acknowledgement that while we may have won political freedom, there are many, many more freedoms that have to be won. We have to win economic freedom for all our people. We have to win social justice for all our people. We must win the freedom from hunger, freedom from poverty, freedom from illiteracy, and many, many other freedoms have to be won. Our idea of India is that we will build a liberal and democratic society. Our idea of India is that everyone is equal, regardless of his religion, regardless of his race, regardless of his caste. Everyone is equal, and everyone is entitled to the equal protection of the laws. Our idea of India is not that we will grow, and that growth is not only for the sake of growth, that growth leads to inclusive development. And our idea of India is that every man and woman in this country gets social justice, and that means religious freedom, gender justice, and no discrimination whatsoever. Our idea of India is that any government, the state, and every organ of government must lean in favor of the poor, the weak, and the deprived. They require government. They require governance. They require the hand of the state. And these include scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward classes, minorities, and the disabled people. And finally, our idea of India is that our work will not be complete in 5 years. It will not be complete in 10 years. It may not be completed in the lifetime of anyone gathered here. That political life and political leadership is a never-ending saga of struggle and sacrifice. That is our idea of India. The resolution that was moved by my distinguished colleague, Shri Ghulam Nabi Azad, captures that idea of India and what we have done in the last 10 years to translate our idea of India into reality. I urge you to read every paragraph of that resolution carefully, be it in English or Hindi, but please read it. Every sentence is pregnant with meaning. Every sentence is important, and every sentence underlines our idea of India. Looking back over the last 10 years, we have a proud record. And I ask you respectfully, defend this record. Tell me any other period of 10 years in the history of this country when we witnessed such tremendous growth and such all-round development. I challenge any political party in this country to point to any period of any government anywhere in India which has delivered such a record of growth and development. When did we achieve the best growth rate? It was 9.6% in 2006-07. When did we achieve the best savings rate? It was 36.8% in 2007-08. When did we achieve the best investment rate? It was 38.1% in 2007-08. And when did we add a huge amount of money to our reserves? It was $92 billion in 2007-08. No other government, no other period has witnessed these impressive developments. And when I talk about growth, please understand that I talk about growth that translates to inclusive development. I talk about growth that translates to more than inclusive development, it translates to social justice. Let me give you a few examples. 10 years ago, the installed power capacity of India was 1,12,000 megawatts. Today, it is 2,11,000 megawatts. That is growth. But when this capacity is installed in Arunachal Pradesh, this capacity is installed in Jharkhand, this capacity is installed in the far-flung corners of India, that is inclusive development. 10 years ago, we produced 213 million tons of food grain. Today, we produce 259 million tons of food grain. That is growth. It becomes inclusive when you will find that for 610 rupees a quintal as the MSP of wheat, today we give 1,350 rupees per quintal of wheat. That is inclusive development. 10 years ago, our public sector banks had 46,769 branches. Today, we have 74,405 branches. More branches is growth, but more branches in Manipur, more branches in Andaman Nicobar, more branches in Rajasthan, more branches in Jammu and Kashmir. That is inclusive development. 10 years ago, we gave out a few thousand education loans. The total amount 10 years ago as education loans was 4,500 crore. Today, as I stand before you, the outstanding amount for education loans is 57,000 crore. And that, most of those loans have gone to scheduled caste, to scheduled tribes, the minorities, and above all, to women, the girl child. More loans is growth, but more loans to the poor, more loans to the first generation learner, more loans to the girl child is inclusive development and social justice. 10 years ago, women's self-help groups received 3,500 crore rupees as loans. On that day, the outstanding loans was rupees 3,500 crore. Today, the women's self-help group movement has received 32,840 crore rupees as loans to women's self-help groups. That is not growth. That is inclusive development. That is social justice. 10 years ago, the minorities had 14,15,000 accounts in 121 districts of India where there's a concentration of minorities. Just 14,15,000 bank accounts. Today, in these 121 districts, they have 43,52,000 accounts. This is in 121 districts of India. That is social justice. 10 years ago, in these bank accounts, loans for 4,000 crore rupees had been given. Today, we give to the minorities 66,500 crore rupees of loans. That is social justice. Let me give you just two more examples. 10 years ago, our expenditure on health was 7,500 crore. Today, we spend 32,745 crore rupees on health. 10 years ago, and Congress President alluded to this, only 1,04,288 kilometers of rural roads was in India. Today, we have 3,96,361 kilometers of roads. More roads is growth, but more roads in Chhattisgarh, more roads in Meghalaya, more roads in Jammu and Kashmir. That is inclusive development. And when these roads connect hamlets occupied by the scheduled castes or the scheduled tribes, that is social justice. My friends, let me tell you with humility, but let me tell you with pride, that in the last 10 years, our governments, the two governments guided by Sonia ji and led by Dr. Manmohan Singh, have delivered substantially on our promise of growth, inclusive development, and social justice. That is a record that you must carry to every corner of this country. Madam, I want our friends to look back also over the last 65 years or so. The Congress party is not like any other political party. It's not a party that springs to life when it is in power and fades away when it is not in power. In the last 65 years, we have seen many parties come and go. It is the Congress party that has stood rock-like in the last 65 years, defending the interests of the people of this country. I want you to remember that every turning point in the history of India has been a point when the Congress was standing guard. Recall that it is the Congress party which introduced in this country universal franchise and held free and fair elections every 5 years. It is the Congress party which articulated the policy that the leading role, at least in the first decades of independence, will be given to the public sector. It is a Congress party that ushered in reforms in the 1990s and then unleashed a major economic program in 1991. These were turning points. And who was standing at guard when these turning points marked our history? It was the Congress party. In every milestone that we have crossed, it is because the Congress party led this country. Let me remind you of two milestones among many. The liberation of Bangladesh. It was the Congress party and Indira ji, and that marked a milestone in the history of not only India, but the history of South Asia. The emergence of India as a nuclear power, that again was under the Congress party when Indira ji was Prime Minister, and that marked another milestone in the history of India. Every legislation in India that liberated people and empowered them was passed by Parliament when the Congress party was in government. I can list over a dozen examples. Let me give you three. The First Amendment to the Constitution of India, which provided reservation for socially and educationally backward classes, was in 1951 when the Congress party was in power. The historic legislation that empowered panchayati institutions was when the Congress party was in power under Rajiv Ji. And the Food Security Act, the last of these major legislations, the Food Security Act was passed when the Congress party is in power and Sonia Ji made that impassioned speech in Parliament. Every milestone, every turning point, every legislation in this country has been done or made or passed when we were standing at guard. Finally, my friends, let me say a few words about the future. The future is not about power. The future must reflect the past. Some people talk about Mission 272. That is not a mission. That is greed. That is ambition. That is aggrandizing power. That is why you will find on their platforms, on their gatherings, the political language is a language of slander, a language of abuse, a language of invectives. Our mission is to serve and to work, not merely to capture power. Our mission is to unite and serve, not to divide and rule. Our mission is to acknowledge that there are deep flaws and deep fault lines in our society, that there is discrimination, that there is denial of justice, and our mission is therefore to build a more liberal, a more democratic, a more participative, and a more progressive governance model. Our mission is to empower India. Today, we have chosen a leader to lead us into battle in 2014. Yesterday, the CWC resolution declared that Shri Rahul Gandhi will lead the Congress party into battle in 2014. It is more than anointing a leader for battle. Behind that declaration lies an important fact. And I want to close by appealing to you to appreciate that fact. 83 crore people of this country, that is 68% of the people of the country, are below the age of 35 years. I want you to pause and ponder over that fact. It's something everyone must reflect quietly in his mind, her mind, for a few seconds. 83 crore people, or 68% of the people of India, are below the age of 35 years. Out of the 83 crore, 62 crore people are below the age of 25 years. Who will open the doors to them? Who will invite them? Who will embrace them? Who will give them an opportunity? We talk about growth, we talk about jobs, we talk about incomes, but growth for whom? Jobs for whom? Incomes for whom? It is for these young people. I appeal to the Congress President. If these are the people for whom we have to create growth and jobs and incomes, let them come into the Congress party and let them shape the agenda and let them decide what they want to do. I have a radical idea. I don't know how popular I will be when I state that idea publicly. I believe, and I appeal to all of you to reflect, I believe that in at least one half of the parliament seats, in at least 272 parliament seats, the Congress party must field candidates who are below the age of 35 years. If India is young and will get younger, it is young India that must be trusted with authority and power and responsibility. Young India must become an empowered India. I ask you to consider that our slogan, among many other slogans that we will coin as we go into elections, that our slogan as we go into elections under the leadership of Shri Rahul Gandhi should be Young India, Empowered India. Yuva Bharat, Shashakt Bharat. Young India, Empowered India should take the reins of the Congress party, should lead the Congress party, should lead the people of India. And I assure you that the last 10 years have been years of tremendous growth and development for India. The next 10 years also will be years of tremendous growth and development for India. The people of India will once again entrust the responsibility to the Congress party. I ask you for support to the resolution. I ask you for support to our leaders, Srimati Sonia Gandhi and Dr. Manmohan Singh. And I ask you for support to our new leader who lead us into battle, Shri Rahul Gandhi. I endorse the resolution, I second the resolution and ask you to support wholeheartedly. Jai Hind!